Whistle while you work. Da-da-da-da, you will die. Come on, Sparky. Nice pun. What's with some high five? 3, 2, 1, clear. Stay still. What do you think you're doing?
Oh, a park! Whee! Whee!
I've had enough.
Huh? Whee! Do you have to fucking hit me every time? I just want to have a little bit of fun!
Not in this lifetime.
Fine! Obviously, I started off this video passed out unconscious. That's because Hector reminded me that this week is only the biggest UFC fight ever! We got Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. I'm so emotional, I can't wait! And I swear to God, if Conor comes away with this victory, which I'll tell you in a second, I don't fucking agree with, I'm gonna bottle everyone with that proper 12 bullshit whiskey in the side of their skull!
Get to the damn car.
Hey, I'll get to it. Just calm the fuck down.
I own that ass.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're my daddy. I get it. The first fight we have in the card is a heavyweight clash between heavyweight barbarian Derek Lewis taking on Alexander Volkov, previous MFC vet, Bellator vet, and now a UFC vet. Now, Alexander Volkov is unlike any fighter Derek Lewis has ever fought. He's a very tall, lanky fighter. And his last 3 wins, let's just put it on the map right now, is quite an impressive resume for Alexander Volkov, coming off a devastating knockout win against Fabricio fucking Verdum. Steroids! Before that, the skyscraper Stefan Struve, who's like 7 foot fucking, who cares? He's a giant. And before that, let's just not forget the impressive unanimous decision victory, which pretty much walked Roy Nelson's fat ass out the door. And obviously, well, I just said it if you were paying attention, Roy Nelson. Now, Derek Lewis is also coming off a victory against Francis Ngannou, blah, 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 biggest heavyweight in the heavyweight division. Listen, it was the most boring fight ever. However, Derek Lewis showed that he had some crazy unorthodox style striking that we're not used to seeing to somebody with that aesthetic or lack of aestheticism in Derek Lewis's fucking figure. But he can throw those high kicks. He can also fight on the ground. His last loss was coming off Mark Hunt, but I mean, Mark Hunt's got that one punch power that'll put anybody in the fucking grave when connected. I mean, Derek Lewis being on that 2-fight win streak against Francis Ngannou, and before that beating actually a very impressive Marcin Tybura, I still think he still doesn't have the cardio that's going to be necessary. Alexander Volkov's proved time and time again that he can go to decision. I just think he's more pristine of an all-around athlete in the heavyweight fucking division. How many times can I say that word? Heavyweight division, heavyweight division. Alexander Volkov is just going to tire him out and probably take him to the ground and get a second round submission. Now we're going to move down a division. Ovince St. Preux takes on Dominic Reyes. So Ovince St. Preux is most notable for his devastating knockout against Shogun years ago. He's still in the prime of his career, being 4-1 in his last 5 fights. When we talk about Dominic Reyes, nobody's really familiar with this. Get out of my face!
Watch your mouth.
I'm talking to the fly. I can't do anything around here. When we talk about Dominic Reyes' record, I mean, the guy's 5-0 in his last 5 fights. But who the fuck are these guys that necessarily he's fighting? Jared Cannonier by TKO. Who the fuck is Jared Cannonier? I've seen every UFC event because, well, Hector makes me, or else he does weird things that we can't talk about on camera. But nobody's ever heard of that motherfucker. And then before that, I'm pretty sure nobody's ever heard of Jeremy Kimball. Detective Kimball's brother. Don't you get the joke, though? I'm Detective John Kimball.
Stop.
Okay, when it comes down to this fight, really, Ovince St. Preux is the much bigger, much stronger, and he's faced a wide array of competition that Dominic Reyes can't even comprehend, because to be honest, the Dominic Reyes competition that we've seen thus far is a bunch of, who the fuck is that? Plural, because I don't know any of them. I think Ovince St. Preux is going to be far too much for Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes has also got that striking game as well against Ovince St. Preux, so I can see them clashing in the octagon in the first round, and Ovince St. Preux finishing this first round submission. Rubbering him, getting that almost TKO, and then taking it to the ground and getting one of those nasty chokes that he loves so motherfucking much. Now, we're gonna go to the lightweight division for the next final 2 fights. Previous lightweight champion in Anthony Pettis against previous lightweight champion Tony Ferguson. Now, this is going to be a motherfucking war. Just when I thought Anthony Pettis was gonna just fall off the map and nobody's gonna really care about that guy anymore, he comes off a crazy ass beat down win against formidable opponent Michael Chiesa. I'm sure Michael Chiesa had problems seeing with all the shards of glass in his eye from Connor McFucking Nuggets. I swear, where did you bring me? There's flies everywhere. He is 2-1 in his last 3 fights, but let's just face the facts here. The people that he beat was Michael Chiesa and Jim Miller. And the person that he lost to was none other than Dustin Poirier, who's also just moments away from knocking on that title shot opportunity. But who's Tony Ferguson? Oh, you don't know? So either you don't watch UFC or you have a fucking terrible memory. He was actually the one that had the lightweight belt last before he got really injured. He's coming off a devastating win against all-round fighter, amazing athlete in Kevin fucking Lee. And before that, obviously taking out Rafael dos Anjos by amazing display of mixed martial artistry, going the whole 3 rounds and beating what everybody thought was the most devastating lightweight fighter of all time. Well, quickly shut that fucking door. And he's beat the likes of Edson Barbosa. So every time someone's coming up the lightweight division, you have Tony Ferguson just shutting the fuck down. Now, what do I think is going to happen in this fight? It's hard to say because Tony Ferguson is kind of coming off a really, really important surgery. But if I have to put my money on it, which I have no money because Hector took it from me.
Because I'm your pimp.
Then I'm going to have to go with Tony Ferguson. I don't think Anthony Pettis is ever going to be a champion again. Just going to be a bridesmaid and never again a bride, right?
Stop clowning. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, well, I will shut the fuck up then. That's great. I think Tony Ferguson is going to take it to him by a beating. I see this fight going to unanimous decision. It's going to be an all-out war, probably the fight of the night, but I see this one going to decision for Tony Ferguson, lining him up for that next lightweight title shot. Now, we got Conor McGregor, the notorious idiot, against Khabib, the Eagle Nurmagomedov. Am I against this fight? Absolutely I'm against this fight. Conor McGregor's never defended a belt. All of a sudden he comes back after committing a fucking felony in New York with shards of glass, stabbing Mikey Chiesa, cutting open Ray Borg's face, but they're using it as promotion to sell this motherfucking fight, to bring Conor McGregor back and hoping he can win another belt. Because guess what? There's no risk in that, because if he doesn't win, which I'm assuming he's not gonna win, he has nothing to lose. Because he was never the champion to begin with, because he got his fucking belt stripped. But Conor McGregor is a deadly fighter. He's got that big knockout power, coming off a devastating win against Eddie Alvarez years ago. And then after that, getting fucking raped in the boxing ring against Floyd Mayweather. But we're not talking about that because it's an MMA vlog. Now, if I'm gonna have to make my prediction for this fight, and mark my words, it's not biased at all because I'm as fair as they get. But I'm definitely going on Team Khabib all the fucking way. Khabib is just too much of a grappler for Conor McGregor to fucking handle, no matter what his fucking knuckles are made of. Khabib's just gonna get in there, kind of wait for Conor to embrace that fucking strike. He's gonna grab his leg, take him to the ground, and just maul him and just beat the fucking shit out of him. Stomp on his face. No, I can't. That's illegal. But he's just gonna... What are you doing?
Nothing.
You know I see you,
No, you don't.
right? Shut up. Ah! What the flying